Very nice. So yeah, thanks all for joining me. It was a bit of an experiment. For those of you that are in the membership and or have been in the membership, you know that we have these Zoom Q&A sessions, drop in, very relaxed. We just come online, we just have a natter. People can ask questions. People can just cheer about what their dog's been doing well or sob a little bit if they've been having some struggle, like whatever it is, any questions at all. So I don't normally do it outside the membership, but I thought it's Don't Walk Your Dog Day. I thought it'd be kind of a nice thing to do. So totally relaxed. I didn't really know how many people we were going to get in, so I'm very happy. Rather than you having to put stuff, I mean, you can put stuff in the chat if you want to. You can either put questions or comments in the chat, and I'll keep an eye on that. Or you can just wave at me, and I can take you off mute, and you can just ask me questions or share thoughts, share what you've been doing. Obviously, lots of people have been posting what they've been doing on Don't Walk Your Dog Day, which is lovely. Let me just Joanne in. So yeah, has anybody got a question and wants to go first? I was going to do does anybody not know who I am? Do you all know me? Does anybody not know me? Pauline, you're shaking your head. So you don't know me from Adam. All right then. I should probably introduce myself, shouldn't I? Hi there. Oh yes, Andrea. Yes, this is live. Yes, nice to see you. Yeah, so if you don't know me, I'm Niki French. I am the founder of Pup Talk and Twickenham Dog Services. So I have been a dog trainer now for just over 5 years. And I started out when I was learning to be a dog trainer, walking dogs that really struggled in life, really struggled. They couldn't go into doggy daycare. They couldn't go on pack walks. And so I wanted to get my hands on as many dogs as I could while I was training to be a dog trainer. And by definition, it kind of worked out that I was taking all the dogs that really struggled. So right from day one, I kind of got stuck into some dogs don't do well on a walk, even as a dog walker. So some people, Bodhi's going to make an appearance. That's now a proper training. That's a proper Zoom for Bodhi to come in and join us. So yeah, so I started working with people that had dogs that were just really struggling in the modern world. So I did, for some of my dog walking clients, I actually didn't walk them. I would go around to their houses and I would help entertain their dogs and help their dogs grow skills that they were lacking. And then, so basically I've been working full time as a dog trainer ever since then. And now I work with puppies locally. I also work with older dogs, rescue dogs. I work with people online, and it's now sort of become an area of mine of the dogs that really do struggle on walks. So hence I wrote the book Stop Walking Your Dog, which was as a result of me having exactly that conversation with a couple of my clients. I was working with them online and I was saying to people, you need to stop walking your dog. And that basically became the book. Oops, sorry, I'm just keeping half an eye on the waiting room as well. So I wrote the book Stop Walking Your Dog. And then off the back of that, it became apparent that the feedback that I was getting from people that read the book, excuse me, was that some people were finding it very isolating with their dogs. Some people found the emotional side of things, really tough. And so I set up Don't Walk Your Dog Day to help people have conversations. And I know there's probably some people here that might have experienced this, whether it was friends or family, and if they were struggling to walk their dog for whatever reason, and they might have been walking them less, sometimes people would be quite judgy about that. Or even people could just feel guilty themselves because they thought, well, all dogs really want to go for a walk, and if I can't walk them for whatever reason, that's me not doing my best for them, which obviously is not the case. So I started the awareness day to really help those conversations, and it's been running for 3 years now, I think. It's definitely in its third year. So that's who I am. Andrea says, can you tell us about your new book? Yeah, yeah. So I haven't written much of that in the last 4 weeks. There is 10,000 words done, so it is in progress. So the book that I'm writing at the moment is basically Stop Walking Your Dog Volume 2. And it is the follow-up, and it came about because the people that I'm working with one-to-one a lot of the time may have well have found me because they've read Don't Stop Walking Your Dog. And for some people, they stop walking their dog, perhaps one day a week, or they just do one walk a week, one walk a day, like we do with Bodhi. And then there's at the other end, people like Gabby, who's here tonight, has stopped walking road completely for 9 months, and sort of everything in between. But what happens, say you do stop walking your dog completely, even for a matter of a few days or a few weeks, your growing skills at home, that's all well and good. But then how do you take it from there to somehow getting back out to something that looks like a walk in the outside world? How do you bridge that gap? So that's basically the follow-up book, trying to put into some semblance of I guess a manual. I mean, a Stop Walking Your Dog is meant to be a bit of a manual. You can read it and you can do this stuff yourself. Obviously, it's not working with me one-to-one, but I'm trying to give as much of that as possible so that in various situations, how do you handle that? How do you start to grow the skills in a way that your dog can cope with? How can you take a game that you're playing in your front room or your garden, and how can you translate that into something that helps you to start to open up your dog's world in some way? So yeah, so trying to put all that down in a book. It's coming together. I have the overall structure, chapters are getting written. So yeah, it's just taken a bit of a back seat over the last few months with Pupfest and Don't Walk Your Dog Day. So basically next week I'm back on it. Will I get it out before the end of this year? I don't know. Might do. Heather, you're smiling. You know how hard it is to finish a book and get it out. So yeah, if not by the end of this year, then certainly by the time we get to Don't Walk Your Dog Day next year, it will be out for sure. So yeah. Andrea says it sounds great and you're a very busy person. Well, brains don't grow in comfort zones. No, absolutely not. But it's about allowing them to grow in spaces that are not completely outside of their comfort zone, I think. Do you know what I mean? It's like that extreme of sort of trained for the situation, not in the situation, but at some point you have to find some situation that they can cope with, if perhaps not the full-on thing that they couldn't deal with before. Anyway, that's kind of my view. So Carol says, find it, rewind, pause on object, yeah, all of that kind of stuff. Yeah, brilliant. Okay, fine. So let me just check I haven't missed anybody into the group. So does anybody actually have a question for me? And I don't say I know all the answers. There's people in this room here that will know more about some things than I will. So I'm not the expert on everything, but I'll certainly give you my thoughts and or tell you if I don't know the answer. So does anybody want to wave at me and I can either take you off mute or you can take yourselves off mute? Have you all just come to listen? You don't want to listen to me for an hour? Heather,
Niki,
hi.
Hi. Can I just get your take on activity boxes? I mean, we have a certain way we do them at creche, but does anybody kind of have different ways or means or things that they used for activity boxes?
Do you mean like noise box, cardboard chaos, that kind of thing? Rummaging
Yeah,
boxes?
yeah. Yeah, well, activity boxes, the way we do them is like we stuff a Kong, wrap it in newspaper,
Yeah,
stuff an old box with newspaper, then sprinkle some treats in there, you know, like
yeah,
things like the little trout biscuits and
yeah,
bits of cheese or hot dog, depending on, you know, which dog can take what.
yeah,
And then put the wrapped Kong in the box and then loosely seal it. But there must be lots of different takes on activity boxes that other
yeah,
people do.
yeah,
That'd be interesting to find out how many different how many recipes are there for an activity box?
yeah, yeah. Well, I think everyone is different. And also I think it is very much about being dog specific. I think the thing about any kind of enrichment or anything like that is it has to be fun for the dog. And some dogs are going to be like Bodhi, of like, bring it on. What have you got for me? Like, he wants the challenge, and he really relishes the fact if something takes him time, he gets more and more kind of like into it. But there's a
Yeah,
lot of dogs, probably Sadie, I would say, Helen, perhaps, if it's too hard, that they'll just be completely put off by it, So, and also, for some dogs, just having a box down, just a plain old box, like they wouldn't even be confident enough to put their head in it to get the food. So I
yeah,
think, everything from the most simple activity box, noise box, or whatever it is, some strange object, to having a real challenge, layer upon layer, noise, movement, all of that kind of thing. But I think it's totally dependent on what that dog is like and what they find rewarding. And I think always having um, food available for the dog that isn't in the activity
yeah,
box, so that they've always got an option to go, actually, that's not what I want to be doing. I would quite like to just take this food from here.
yeah,
So, but in terms of the complexities of what goes in it, I mean, I love using um yeah things that you can layer up. So it might be, the toilet roll, and I'll fold the ends over, and then I might put that into a tea box, a cardboard tea box, um,
yeah,
and then maybe scatter a few more bits in that. And I do like the kind of the parcel approach.
yeah, oh,
uh,
yeah, yeah,
so I like doing those kind of things, and it might be, I think I really love the variety of noises. And even if you're doing something that is entirely cardboard and entirely paper based, there's so many different noises that you can get even within that as a material.
yeah.
It's so variety, if it's right for the dog. Is that the kind of thing that you were thinking about?
Yeah, I mean, just different people's different takes on how they do activity boxes, or um, the sort of activity that you would use a box, whether you stuff it or just let them completely shred the whole thing and jump about on it. But like you say, there are some dogs, like observers, they'd be going, "Oh no, that's way too scary. That box might attack
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
It might go bang."
And I think also that it's funny. Over the last few months, I've been looking back over quite a lot of old video of Bodhi. We've been doing Ace Free work and things like that. So I've been going
Yeah,
back and looking at some of the early footage. And Bodhi with cardboard, he used to um, basically just, it didn't matter how big it was. I mean, literally, it could be 2 meters square. Like, I can't remember what I had that was so massive, but I had this massive sort of flat box. And Bodhi, as a relatively small puppy compared to how he is now, he would be picking it up and he would be trying to drag it around the garden and crashing and banging, and then he'd be frantically scrabbling at it and ripping it with his teeth. I mean, he was frantic with it, and it kind of looked like good, perhaps a good outlet for his energy. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure it was an entirely enjoy. I think he just didn't know what else to do with himself. Like, you know, it was if he wasn't doing that, he would be trying to zoom me. Like it was that kind of energy level. So I
Yeah,
think it's
yeah,
sometimes how you use the food to try and guide the dog into doing what is a quite a more productive activity. I wouldn't say what Bodhi was doing with the boxes when I look back at these videos from 4 years ago was an entirely productive experience.
but then do games like that with dogs need to be productive? We used to do, when I ran training classes, we used to do, on the last week of a course, we'd do just like fun stuff, and I told everybody to bring a box, and we did what's called 101 things to do with the box, and you used to put the box down and click whatever the dog did with the box. If it looked at it, click it, throw the treat away from the box, get the dog to come back and examine it again. And we had dogs sitting in boxes, dogs straddling boxes, dogs picking it up and putting it, it was like over their face so they couldn't see where they were going. We had some hilarious things that we did. And some dogs just sat by the box and wouldn't even interact with it. So we got pictures of them sat by the box, which was equally cute.
Basically free
But
shaping. The dogs are choosing what
yeah,
they want to
yeah.
do.
But the ones that jumped in the box almost pretty straight away and then just sat there and did this lovely sit stay or down stay in the box was absolutely hilarious. So yeah, it's interesting how much you can allow the dog to show you what it does and doesn't like to do just simply with a box. And I think that's an amazing thing to do on like Don't Walk Your Dog Day, because you could spend all day just with you, your dog, and a box,
Yeah,
on and off, having so much fun. And I just think that's the most excellent way to enjoy you and your dog so
yeah,
cheaply. You don't have to go out and buy expensive toys.
yeah, absolutely. Nikki, I can see you've taken yourself off mute. This is very much your area.
Well, I was going to say, I find with my girls, one box doesn't hold any interest. One box, so I will put out 3 or 4 different textures. One
Yeah.
might be just completely empty. One might have paper. One little plastic ball, like ball pit balls. One might have lots of like little Tupperware containers, make lots of noises. And they will go from one to the next, and they'll just, literally it is a sit back, observe, video,
Yeah.
watch what they're doing, because they want to have the choice. They love having the option to have the choice. And as you said, Heather, you could do that for hours. They would carry on for hours.
Yeah, yeah. And it's better than the telly.
Oh God, yeah.
Much better than watching telly.
Absolutely. And I think even once, if it's food, if it involves food, even once the food may be gone, the scent is still there. So they will still snuffle, and it will still hold their interest. But I think for some dogs to have the availability of choice is really telling. They really like it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Cool.
It's just lovely to watch. It's just lovely to watch them
Absolutely. Yeah. And you can almost hear them thinking, can't you? What shall I do next? What shall I do with this particular box? What should I do with this particular noise it makes? Or how should I grab it the next time round? Just amazing. Yeah.
I think that real power of giving them that thinking time, isn't it? Because I think it's very easy for us to get into training, getting them to do something, or how can I get them to do the thing, and then
and that was the reason that we used to say to people, just put the box down and wait for what the dog, don't instruct them, because they'd spent like 7 weeks of their 8-week course instructing or learning, teaching the dog actions that we then put instructions to. And now this was the week that they absolutely just had to zip it and allow the dog to show them what they wanted to do. And then we would maybe put some cues on it later on. But it's very difficult. I think, for us as humans not to direct an animal to do stuff, because we're such control freaks. And I don't know about you, but I find this with when you're training people, they give so like Rover, come, and if the dog doesn't come instantly, they don't give the dog time to kind of think about it for like 2 seconds. They re-instruct the dog, and I'm saying, just wait for it to, hear the word, convert the word to what they need to do, because some dogs are slow and some dogs are fast at that. So we are pretty control freaky, aren't we, as humans, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good question. Do you want me to read it out, Kirsty, or do you want to come off mute? Shall I? There, I can ask you to unmute.
Unmuting me. Sorry, she's just, yeah, I'm still finding it difficult in that I haven't walked her today because last 2 days she's still doing that thing where she can be absolutely fine. And I was reading your book again today. You know that thing where it's like you have no idea what the trigger is. And I know you say in the book it could be, the smell of the dog or the smell of something else or the gender of the dog, or so she will be amazing for a really, really long time when we're out, and then there'll be something and she just starts doing all that pulling and all of that real kind of reactive thing. And even if I kind of have the treat there, it doesn't actually make a huge amount of difference. And I think I'm still struggling with the fact that all the feedback I get from daycare when she's in the field is, oh, she's amazing, because she's not being expected to go on a walk, is she? She's running around a field having the time of her life with all these other dogs. And then when she's with her walker on a Friday, she's invariably with another dog. So she's got that kind of pack. And I don't know if it's because when she's with me, it's obviously the relationship's different. And also it's because she's kind of on her own with me. Whereas the other situations that she's in with the daycare, she's not on her own. She's like got that pack. I don't know. I'm still trying to unpick what it is that I'm either doing or they're not doing, or maybe it's just the different setting. But again, yesterday, just going out, and I felt really bad because there was a really nervous dog that really started to get really, really triggered. And then of course Dottie triggered, and we were all just being triggered. You don't say anything, Theo, because I'm talking. So yeah, so I don't know, has anyone got any insights if they in that situation where they can't always walk their dog or care for their dog, and they have other scenarios where their dog seems to be so much better in when they're not with them, if you know what I mean?
Yeah, I have some thoughts, but if anybody else wants to chip in first, I'm very happy to. Carol, did you want to come off mute or?
Is that better?
Yeah, there you are. Hi, Carol.
Hello. I had to go on mute to start and camera off to start with because I was still finishing my dinner as well. Yeah, the only thing I would say, you probably know anyway, but the only thing I would say is that it could just be, as I put in the comment, a boxed learning picture. So the dog has learned a certain behaviour with, not sure what her name was, sorry, but and they don't show that with other people. They get used to behaving in a certain, have you heard of that expression before?
Yeah, or it's basically like a picture, like they
box learning picture.
They behave in a certain way when the picture looks like this, and you change something in the picture, which can be something really subtle. It doesn't have to be as significant as a different place with with dogs, without dogs. I mean, it can be.
It could be that, or it could simply be that the dog has got to a certain point in the walk and the bucket's exploded. And so they react to everything, even things they wouldn't normally react to. So.
Kirsty, do you ever sort of make any notes as to when it happened to see whether or not, like, does it happen early on in the walk or later on in the walk, or does it seem that it can happen at any point in time? So
I feel like it but then again, it's weird because I do a Sunday walk, which is a really big walk with my friend, and generally she can be very reactive when we get to the cafe or if we sit on a bench. But generally, for the majority of that walk, and it's along the riverside, so there are other dogs, she's generally okay. So it's almost like, I think it's really interesting, this idea that she's learned that, oh, I'm with Tom and I'm with Kirsty and we're doing this particular walk and I know this route and this is how I am in this situation. It's almost like, you know how with the whole sort of, it feels to me almost a bit like when I'm working with children with autism and also with my own son, this kind of like, almost like this inability to generalize, which is part of that autistic profile. But it's also this thing of like, this is how it looks. I really get that idea that this is how this looks. These are the people I'm with. So therefore I'm going to behave in this way. Like you say, that it's almost like, because I was almost thinking, well, maybe I need to just go out with Matt on part of the walk and just see what it is that he's doing that is different, or just talk to him more and just find out what is it that's working for him and not working for me.
Or the bits where you walk where you've got the reactions.
Yeah.
Are they spaces that you can avoid somehow? And sometimes it means taking a car out. Do you have a car? I can't remember, Kirsty.
Yeah, because to be honest, I was even thinking the bit that she really loves and she seems to cope with really, really well is if we go to like a field part, and she wants to be off lead and she wants to do all her roly polies, which are quite hilarious because she did her back in from doing roly polies. But I mean, what can you do? It was absolutely ridiculous. She is very entertaining when she's doing her somersault all over the place. So I was almost thinking, actually, maybe that's what I need to do is actually drive her to the field, and she does her bit in the field and she gets rid of the energy, but without creating a kind of too much negative overflowing, and actually then do that and then just say, right, okay, back in the car, rather than doing the walk to the field bit even. I didn't know if that was something I should try as an option and just see if...
I'd look at it like kind of don't walk your dog. I would say don't walk your dog on the bits that if there is a pattern, like it happens here but doesn't happen there. I know, you know, like for you to be able to walk her, you know, it's not that you don't want to be able to take her anywhere, but I would, if you can, I would just try and avoid the spots that seem to be more problematic for her for a period of time.
And just see if it makes a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw you waving. Heather, what were you going to say?
Yeah. So I forget what I was reading or listening to just in the last couple of days, but dogs are never the same when we're with them. If my two girls are at creche and I'm not there, their behavior is brilliant. When I'm there, my defender, my Staffy Lab Cross, my younger one of the two, she's an absolute nightmare. She has to go splatting everybody, and you know, she's just a complete headbanger. But when I'm not there, she's impeccably behaved. And it's the same as children. Children and animals, particularly dogs, will not behave the same when we're around. Because we have people that, you know, when they pick their dogs up from creche, whether it's full day, half day, whether they've only been in a couple of hours, whatever, they say, oh, have they been good? And we say, yeah, brilliant. Why? And they say, oh, well, you know, I was expecting this, that, and the other. And we said, no, they've been absolutely fine. And they're totally amazed that their dog that misbehaves with them is brilliant with us. But it's because we're different energy. As people, we are different energy. There's obviously different things going on, and we don't have this thing about, oh my God, what's going to happen next? You know, and I've had so many reactive dogs in my time, you know, rehab that many, that I know exactly how you guys feel, because you've got your radar going the whole time. You're like, oh my God, you know, what's going to come around the corner? So we're almost programming our dogs by our own energy to expect trouble, and they're kind of reading our energy and thinking, and they can, you know, it's like the lead is like the best telegraph wire on the land, isn't it? Because everything we feel or think is going straight down the lead into the dog's brain. They're like, aha, she's worried, there must be something coming around the corner. And as soon as something does come around the corner, they're like ready to pounce on it. So, I mean, maybe, yes, absolutely, don't walk your dog for all walks if it's super reactive until you can get some kind of handle on everything. And yes, don't walk the dog in the area where it is prone to react, because the problem is your brain is then programmed for you to think at that moment, when you get to that particular part of the dog walk, something's going to happen. This is normally where they're problematic. So internally you're trying to calm yourself down, but externally your message down the lead to the dog is, there's going to be trouble, there's going to be trouble, and the dog's going, there's going to be trouble, then I better react. And it's really, really hard. And, you know, I've been there so many times, so I totally get where you're coming from. It's really hard to talk yourself out of this internal panic that you can feel rising inside you, or not to, you know, to kind of walk along. I mean, when I was doing reactive dog classes, the first week they came without dogs, and one of the things I used to teach people was how to walk like you're on the catwalk, you know. And I used to say, right, you know, you're going to have to swing your tush, you know, and even the blokes, we get them walking along like, you know, complete catwalk models. It was so funny. But what we tried to do was to almost bottle that feeling of bravado and, you know, hey, look at me, and this is so brilliant. Because then if you can give that feeling of, hey, nothing can get to me, you know, because I'm so brilliant, not in a big-headed way, but this kind of, you know, do you all remember Shirley Bassey, you know, and her big, you know, she used to have these great big dresses at the back, and she used to swing her hips as she's walking along. If you can get that kind of that air of, you know, everything is brilliant, you know, I mean, obviously you don't want to get arrested, but, you know, really kind of swing it out kind of thing.
Kirsty, I want to see your Shirley Bassey going down Twickenham High Street. That's what I want to see.
I can't wait. Me and Tom will try this on Sunday. We'll send you a video.
I was trying to excuse me, I've got a really dry throat tonight. So Dottie's, she's not 3 yet, is she?
No, she's not.
Still
No,
quite a young
she's
girl.
nearly 3. She's nearly. I mean, to be fair to her and me, probably she is generally, you know, she is generally calming down, and that I have noticed that. And I mean, of course, she's playing up big time now because she's not getting enough attention. And I've done various things today, but I've probably done too many things, if you know what I mean. So I'm like, right, we need to do this now because you're not going for a walk. So we need to do this and we need to do that. But also because it's half term, so she's not in daycare. So again, that changes the dynamic quite a lot. And Theo's around and he's very noisy and he still doesn't read her. He still bumbles in. So today I had to go out. So I put classic FM on her for ages. I thought, because I do put the radio on for her, and then I thought, actually, even the radio, because I tend to listen to radio too, and that is quite noisy and stuff. So I thought I'd try classic FM. And of course, she slept all day and had a really nice time. And then I've come back and she's like, right, okay. But I think it's really interesting what you're saying about how it's definitely that sort of my own fear kind of coming down the lead, so to speak. Because it's just that, you know, it's not always, I can't think of a time when I've gone for a walk and it's been amazing for the whole walk. There's always some sort of interaction, even if it's just one other dog or something like that, where I kind of feel like, oh, and at the moment it's quite hard because my son's with me and he's all over the place as well. But I think it's everything you're saying is really useful, and I will try and practice my catwalk.
I think about trying to find a spot that you can drive to and you
Yeah.
a short
Yeah.
walk. I always think like trying to practice something that looks like your perfect walk.
Yeah.
It might be
Yeah.
out of a car, scatter some treats into some long grass, Dotty rolls around a little bit, and
Yeah.
then you kind of get back in the car and go home before anything.
No, I think,
You just practice it looking good. You're
and
kind of
actually that
creating
might be
a-
enough for her as well in some ways, because actually the other day we were in the Old Deer Park, and literally all she wanted to do was just roll about and be silly for about 10 minutes, and after that she was fine. So
Just one
yeah.
you mentioned about the rolling on the back and her having a she did, when did she do it, what did she do to
Oh,
that?
it was a little while ago. I don't actually know, because she was at daycare, and then she couldn't she could barely move. So I had to put her on rest for 2 weeks. So she didn't go out for 2 weeks. But she was obviously medicated. And at one point they thought that she was going to have to be, knocked out, because obviously when they tried to kind of examine her, it got really, really tricky. Even though she was sort of drugged up to the eyeballs, she was still quite reactive. So, yeah.
Hey, can I see?
Not at the moment, darling. Can you just?
Oh, come on!
No, not at the moment. This is you can see. That's a reactive situation, if ever you wanted one.
So I just wonder if she's doing a lot of rolling on her back
Yeah.
and the reactivity. I just question mark whether there might be some tightness, a bit of muscle spasm. There might be a little something going, like dogs. I think sometimes if dogs are rolling a lot on their back, it's almost like they're trying to self-massage. Sometimes it can just be because
Yeah.
it's good, or it
Yeah,
can
that does make sense, because she.
just put a little question mark there.
Yeah.
I think
Okay.
keep
Yeah,
an
no,
eye-
that's helpful.
um
She also does this kind of sideways. She kind of is doing like an angular. Have you ever seen like where they're almost like, then she's not, it's like almost like a diagonal roll she does as well.
right.
She's just really into rolling, and I keep thinking, please don't do that, because you're going to do your back in again.
Yeah, just so I think it's just something to watch, probably something
Yeah.
to come back to and maybe have a chat.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. I'll stop talking now because I'm talking a lot, so I'll mute myself. But thank you, everyone.
It's all right. No, I could see somebody else was feeling the same thing. I don't, sorry, it says iPhone, so I don't know, but somebody else was saying they were feeling the same thing. So, Nikki, you took yourself off mute. Were you going to say something?
Well, no, I was going to say, I think that's the way I've always seen the whole ethos of what you do is when it's stop walking your dog, it's not just for the dog, it's for us, because we can walk. If you've had months and months of going out and having horrendous experiences on your walk, you leave the house with your shoulders up by your ears, and as Heather said, your dog knows that instinctively. So I think it's as much for us, to just have a break, and then, as you say, go somewhere for 5 minutes, throw some treats, get back in the car, go home. Lovely experience, and just build it up. But it is as much for us, definitely.
Yeah, I agree.
I think they can smell stress as well, I was told.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, because stress is cortisol, which can radiate out up to about 4 meters. So if you say you work with 2 or 3 other people and one of them is seriously stressed out, the cortisol from their body is actually emanating throughout the whole office, and it can make the rest of you feel bad-tempered as well. So that's, and adrenaline has, so when, as Nikki said, when we go out the door full of adrenaline with ears up like we're wearing them for a hat, that smells to a dog, that adrenaline, that is just, it's a huge kicker for a dog. Which is why some dogs react to people who've been to the gym, because they smell of adrenaline. And the same with dogs. If you're going into the park and you're meeting a dog coming out of the park, and that dog's been exercised for half an hour or whatever, and it's been running around, that dog's going to be full of adrenaline, yours isn't, and that can spark a reaction as well, just the smell of the adrenaline. So yeah, it's a big one to watch for, and we don't realize that we're smelling of adrenaline because we can't smell it, but obviously they can. So
Yeah, it's
yeah,
fascinating.
yeah, I agree. I think Kirsty, either get a vet check, or not you, Kirsty, but your dog, or some, if you've got a McTimony practitioner near you. I had a similar problem with my youngest Staffy Cross, and we did some McTimony on her, and it showed that she was a bit out on one of her hind legs, and I hadn't noticed it. So we did some work on her, and she was fine after that. But yeah, I think you're right. Coupling that rolling with a bit of a bad tempered dog, I'd be bad tempered if I had backache or some kind of ache where I needed to just relieve it, the pressure. So yeah, cool.
Yeah. Right, I'm going to jump to Pauline's question that she's posted. Do you want me to read it out for you, Pauline? Yeah, is that all right? So Pauline said, if you don't walk your dog, how long should you spend doing activities with them? But it's a brilliant question. I seem to set things up and they're over in 2 minutes. What sort of dogs have you got, Pauline? Or dog?
I've got 2 lab crosses. One's very elderly and arthritic-y, and so can only go out for about 10-15 minutes anyway. And then we've got a young rescue dog. She's 3 now, who is a real sort of fly by night. Recall is a bit inconsistent, very sharp, very with it, but a bit of a handful, really. So I'd like to
sounds like Bodhi.
I'd like to have more variety of things to do with her.
Yeah, yeah. And the setting up stuff to do with them, do you do them separately?
No.
Do they work well together, or does the younger one tend to sort of get a bit crash? Or are they both kind of Labrador foodie kind of?
They're both pretty foodie. The old one, I don't think is that bright, but the young one is very sharp. Yes, I'm sort of all new to this concept, really. So I've only just started doing things like this. But when it's a bit drier, I've got a bit of agility equipment in the garden, just stuff which I can do with the younger one.
Yeah.
But things, snuffle mats, and I came across the toilet roll folding up thing. Yeah. But that literally is seconds and it's over. So I just wonder how much input they need. How long should I be doing activities? I mean, with the younger one, I can play tug and I can chuck a ball around and things like that. But I'm not sure that's enriching enough.
I would say for both of them, my go-to would be, or one of the things that I would use is getting them sniffing, like getting scenting going. So one of the things that I did with Bodhi today was 15 pieces of really chopped up small salmon skin. He was waiting indoors. We hid them out in the garden, so like a treasure hunt. And it can, start off super simple. But, once then, if it's something quite nice and easily detectable, something quite smelly, you could do it inside the house if you're happy to remember where you put them. Like you don't want to leave dodgy smelling stuff around your house and forgot where it was. Either inside or outside or on a walk. You can do it on a walk as well, and hide those pieces of food. So you can get away with either, like if you were using breakfast or dinner, you could probably set up, it could take them quite a bit longer. Once they are sort of really used to doing a sort of treasure hunt style food finding, that it can last quite a long time. And even once they've found all the pieces of food, often they will go back round and just make sure. So you can get quite a long period of however long it takes them. It might still only be a couple of minutes if they are going around and hoovering, but it might take them slightly longer. Have you tried anything like that?
I do that with the elderly dog. When I take her out, I literally sort of go to the local common and just chuck a handful of treats around and let her just sniff, because she can't walk very far at all. Yes, I do, but perhaps I haven't done it thoroughly enough. You know,
Get really tricky with them if they're enjoying it, and if they're enjoying it and they're gritty, like they really do keep looking for them, you can get really quite tricky. And think about different heights. Some dogs are very good at kind of hoovering at ground level, but you can start putting them up and behind things, and as long as they're comfortable enough to maybe just either lift up their necks and or go up, put their paws up onto something like different surfaces and things like that.
Yeah. So in a day, how long would you spend actually involved in? I mean, obviously it depends on the dog, but
very much so. Very much.
Yeah.
And depending on what your day, I often say it's like what works in your day. So for me, doing short bursts of things with Bodhi suits me better, because if I'm working from home, if I've got a couple of hours where I need to be on Zoom, I might have 10-15 minutes in between. I'll do something within that. I'm kind of doing that because that fits me rather than, and Bodhi's obviously adapted to like our lifestyle and our training. So I think it's kind of what works for you. Some dogs will do longer activities. I don't know, has anybody got dogs here that they would do sort of reasonably lengthy sessions here? Yeah, Niki does, yeah. And I mean, Bodhi will do longer training sessions with me. And if I have time, I'll do it. So I think I like it when you leave dogs wanting more. Like, I don't want them to go, okay, I'm kind of bored of that now. Like, so much nicer to make it a little bit shorter, and then you pop the thing away, and then they're keen for that game to happen again. So I think probably shorter, I would generally err on the side of being shorter rather than too long. But also see how they respond to it. I mean, I think probably a lot of us here at some point or another have experienced the impact of doing too much. And, there's that sweet spot where you can get to the point where you just realize that they're just a bit tetchy and they're a bit hard to deal with. Bodhi used to be really hard work, late afternoons, early evenings. And it's why we cut down our walks, our 2 walks a day down to 1, because actually that second walk in the day was too much for him. So I think just play about, if you're just starting to explore this kind of thing, play about with when you do things. And also I think being flexible is also really good, because if if you have a dog that is if they're used to doing a certain thing at a certain time of day, it becomes part of that expectation. Whereas if you mix things up and you'll do a food hunt on one day, and you might do some cardboard boxes and some loo rolls for a snuffle on another day, and doing them at different times a day, you have a dog that's really much easier to live with. Because if you have to do something that you weren't expecting, your dog's like, wait a minute, what do you mean? It's time to do something. So I think flexibility, I think, is a good thing. Sorry, I can see questions popping up. Let me just scroll through.
Just one more. Does your book cover sort of the ideas for doing all these activities?
Yes. Yeah. There's all sorts. There's a whole chapter on canine enrichment stuff. There's 17 games that are in there as well, and there's also a link to the videos. So rather than me, I do describe how to play the games, but there's a link in there as well, so you can actually see how they work. So yeah, there's lots of stuff in there. So it is kind of a bit of a manual for for stopping walking. Yeah, as Carol said, sniffaris, yeah, lovely. Okay, Timothy chiropractor, thank you, Niki. Ace free work, yes, Ace free work. Though Ace free work, I'm not going to go into it now, but it looks like gigantic setups of enrichment, but there's so much more to it than that. But with any kind of sensory experiences, the more you do these kind of things, like Pauline, if you start hiding the food around the garden and things like that, your dog will get better and better at it. You know, they will stay engaged in things longer, I think, over time. Whereas if they haven't been used to doing these kind of things, it might be that they get to fairly quickly of like, okay, that's enough. I've done all that now. Thanks very much. You know, do they get food in a food bowl a couple of times a day, and then you're playing with treats, or is with their daily food?
I'm playing with treats most of the time.
Yeah.
They don't have sort of a full quota, because I'm aware that they get treats through the day.
Yeah.
They don't have a full quota, but they do have it in a bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah, I find it easier in the fact that if I try and get one of them out and the other one's in, and it doesn't work very well.
Yeah.
And the young one will find the food much quicker than the old one. So I'm never quite sure what they would get
Yeah. So that's another reason why you might want to do these exercises in different spaces, either one after the other, or in different spaces. You have one inside, one outside, or one in this room, one in that room, so that you can keep an eye on that. But and the daily food, is it dry, wet, raw?
It's a mixture of dry with a sort of smattering of wet, just to make it a bit more interesting. Yeah.
So you might be able to use that dry food for things like the food finding games.
Yeah.
If they've got Labrador genes, then not all Labradors, but quite a few Labradors will work quite hard for kibble. And then you're not needing to use any so many treats, and you're not having to sort of think, oh, need to be careful to watch the weight and things like that. So Bodhi at 30 kilos, he doesn't actually get any, we don't have a food bowl. So he'll get everything in different ways, whether it's enrichment, whether it's, I say, working for it. I don't think he ever thinks he's working, like he's just having fun, but he's doing it for his daily food a lot of the time. Yeah.
Okay.
Good question though. Whenever anyone says how long, the answer is always, it depends. It always depends. Andrea says she does the same, several mini sessions throughout the day. How is Ollie doing? Andrea? It'd be really nice to know. But you might not be able to take yourself off the mic, off mute. Carol says mine gets bored with a ball, but buy a new one the same. She re-enthuses. Yeah, Bodhi gets bored with things. I do the same with cow's hooves. So if I give Bodhi a cow hoof, he'll chew it like the best thing ever for a while till it really smells. And then he gets bored of it. But a little bit of yogurt, I can put just a little bit of yogurt on the inside and freeze that. And he's completely, it's like a new hoof again. Thanks for all the comments for Kirsty. That's really useful. Kirsty, we also have a very good local physio hydro place that I've been seeing with Bodhi. So back canine rehab, they're in Isleworth, local to us. So that's where I've been taking Bodhi. So good. Ollie's good. Lovely. Okay. He's enjoying this live. He's a good boy. Has anybody else got any questions? We can fit in another 5-minute question. Has anybody got anything else? Oh, look at you lot. Heather, I can't tell you how excited I am to be coming up to see you. Heather, tell people what you do, because I know that a couple of people will know what you do. Tell us, you've got 5 minutes. Tell us what you do.
So I run workshops for assessing dogs' functional characters, so that we can not only understand our dog at a deeper level, but also tailor their socializing, training, care, etc. And our first public one of the year is this Sunday at Richmond. That's North Yorkshire, Richmond, not down South Richmond. And then we're doing one, this will be our 4th one in Derbyshire in between Chesterfield and Buxton, which is at the end of April. And Niki's coming, yeah!
And Ash and Bodhi, we're making a
I
weekend.
absolutely
excited.
can't wait to give you a proper hug instead of a long distance hug. It's going to be an amazing weekend. We've got
wait to see what
10
you make
new
of
dogs coming. It's going to be so brilliant. So yeah, that's apart from, you know, everything that Niki does, writing books, doing social media, sorting out the admin, and I run a creche as well as a business that supports the book and the workshops. So I know what Niki means, you know, when she says, I mean, you probably, some of you guys work for yourself as well, and there is just so many hats to wear, isn't there? So yeah, I'm really excited to be finally meeting Niki at the end of this month. Yeah.
Very excited. Yeah, we've got a little road trip. We've got a little cabin, some log cabin thing. No, it's got some kind of shepherd's hut thing. I don't know. It looked kind of cute.
is it?
Small.
Where are you staying? Near Buxton?
I want to say it's Robin's Hood Nest Farm, something. It was relatively close. Yeah.
All right.
Anyway.
Cool.
Fabulous. Right. Okay. So there's obviously a few people here that are in the membership. So thank you very much. Give me a wave. Hi, Matt. Hi, Sarah. I see you. I see half Matt. Hi, Gabby. Hi, Kirsty. Oh, dog's coming back in. If anybody did want to join the membership or rejoin the membership, it's normally £30 a month, and I'm doing a 50% off for the first month. So if anybody wanted details of that, just either wave at me now and I'll send you a message, or get in touch with me on social media and I will send you details of that. So this Zoom Q&A, it's kind of like this. We do this a couple of times a month. It's just a bit smaller, so we get to do a bit more nattering. But it's very much like this. Plus you get access to the library of games, of expert sessions. So for instance, Pup Fest, we had speakers like Heather as one of our expert speakers at Pup Fest, and all those recordings are all in the membership as well. So there's a library to dip into when people want to find something specific that they're after. But yeah, it's very much about the community and the support that we give each other, because, you know, it's like it's hard sometimes. You know, it can be hard having a dog that struggles in this world. So can you hear Bodhi crunching quietly in the background? Mike's not picking up. It's really loud in my ear. I've got a little snuffle mat behind me. Yeah, brilliant. He is a good boy. He does try. He's had a very tiring day today. Very good. Wendy Sayers, right? Okay, Wendy, I will find you. Are you on Facebook, Wendy? Where are you on the screen? Okay, I will find you, Wendy. I will send you details.
Hi, Niki.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello. Sorry, not a good camera shot. I'll drop you an email, and then you'll have my details.
Very good. Very good.
Thank you.
And Pauline's going to buy the book. Oh, I do hope you love it. I do hope you love it. Good. It's nice. It's been really nice. I love doing these. These are always fun. So yeah, I will leave you to the rest of your evening. Thank you for all your support, all my lovely members. You're all amazing. And yeah, have a good rest of evening. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Niki. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.